not mentioning there was inspiration from New World when being asked what games inspired Chrono may not have been a direct lie, but
and here's the deal with this, and I think this is what worries players, including me, because I'm giving the honest take. The fact that the way he portrayed that to canon, to his face, was to say that Chrono Trigger was the inspiration for the game. Clearly, it was New World, and they didn't want to say that. Now you look over at the pay-to-win answer, too, and you start thinking, well, what the fuck are they being dishonest about with pay-to-win? Why does Canon look so old? Because we're old, man. Canon's like 35 or 6 or something. All right. Cute. He looks young. He looks like 26. Not a day over 38. Love you, buddy. All right. All right. So Chrono's beta came to a close. I love Chrono Odyssey. I think it's going to be a great game. But see, I looked at the beta through the lens of somebody that isn't trying to compare it necessarily to another MMO. I think that Chrono is going to be the next big MMO in the space. I think that this was a closed beta. It's like the version of the game they had since February. And I think that it had a lot of optimization issues. We're worried about the end game. We only got to play to level 20, right? But like for the hours that I got to play it, I played for like 20, 30 hours or whatever. The hours that I got to play it, I was having a phenomenal time the whole time. I was having a great time. Obviously, you run out of stuff to do on the closed beta. There were serious optimization issues. And now we've got this New World situation where they broke the closed beta. Canon will probably talk about it. But they broke the closed beta. They got outside the zone. And they found like the large-scale PvP area for New World sitting outside the zone. So I don't know what to make of that. But like, we'll see. We'll see. Like, I think that it has a lot of similarities with New World with better combat, and I think that is a good thing. That's a game that I would play. The combat was ass, bro. I actually thought the combat was pretty solid. Clunky at times, and definitely not as smooth as BDO. Obviously a step below BDO, no question. But you compare it to other MMOs in the space, really solid. It was clunky at times. It needed to be cleaned up. The movement felt really wonky, right? Like the inertia felt kind of bad. And then like initiating on people, that was a little rough, right? But these are all things that, again, they're going to polish up. I assume that assuming that they polish these things up, these are things that can be changed and things that are very like easily changeable. Remember how Thrones closed beta was literally autoplay? You guys remember this? It was autoplay and you couldn't cast spells while moving. That shit was ass. And look how far Throne came. You know what I mean? BDO was the same shit. BDO's closed beta. You guys probably would tell, oh, this shit's ass. I don't know if I can do this shit. There's no awakening. There's no nothing. It was all pre-awakening. And people would have called that shit slop too. But here's the thing. It's a closed beta. Assuming they polish all that stuff up and the combat is smoothed out a little bit, I think that the game's going to be phenomenal. That's why it's a beta. Exactly. They're trying to figure out, hey, we need feedback on this stuff. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And then like we need to optimize this stuff. So they need to see where the bugs are and where they're losing frame rate, you know, stuff like that. They've got all that data now. So like I would assume that's all things that can be easily fixed based on a closed beta. Now, if they don't fix those things, the game is going to flop. But I do think that they're going to fix those things.
Chrono Odyssey has been under fire after its first beta playtest with a lot of criticism, and I have been right in the middle of the crosshairs.
You can't polish a turd. The game is shit. Actually, I think the game is phenomenal. If you think about the atmosphere and the world discovery, I think the atmosphere and the world discovery of the game are basically 10 out of 10 for the MMO genre. As far as the gathering and the life skills and the crafting and stuff goes, those are some of the best in genre too. Maybe not the best. BDO might still have like better life skills. I think that like the alchemy and the cooking in BDO, having to make like the utensils and having the different like materials and stuff that you need, it feels a lot more rewarding in BDO. But the life skills in this game still felt grindy, they felt rewarding, they felt good. And again, fighting the bosses, it felt like I was fighting Dark Souls bosses. Like the difficulty, it was hard. It was really hard. And I liked it. It was fun. It kept me coming back for more. And that's what I think the game is going to appeal to people that like that, like Dark Souls. Dark Souls, kind of the MMO meets New World. Yeah? Obviously, the combat's not as good as BDO. Of course it isn't. What are we talking about? I said that initially. BDO is a 10 out of 10 in combat. That's the bar for combat in the MMO genre. I would say that Lost Ark's probably a 9, right? This game falls in at about a 7. It's a step below for sure. But it's still, as far as action combat goes, think about action combat MMOs. It's better than ESO. It's better than the other action combat MMOs for the most part, except for BDO and Lost Ark, which let's not pretend that it's better
When was
than
the
that.
last time you saw Kanan Beach has make a BDO video, or just wondering open world after he made that useless video lol?
Look, I understand there's a lot of hate for Canon in the MMO space. I'm going to tell you right now, especially in the BDO space. Guys, Canon is not the reason that you lost open world PvP. The reason you lost open world PvP is because our devs are glue sniffing clowns. Seriously. They had already decided. They had made the decision because their Korean streamers on the Korean server had been harassed that we were going to get it. We were going to get it regardless. Canon may not have helped with that, but we were going to get it. Again, I was talking to Perlibus through this whole thing because people in the BDO community decided they wanted to harass players instead of, again, it's on Perlibus, guys. Think about it. Canon made that video because these people should be banned, like temporarily, right? Like, let's just like call a spade a spade. The people that were harassing Canon should have been temporarily banned from the game. Obviously. If they had just banned those players temporarily and moved on, no one-sided deck changes, no karma changes, none of that shit needed to happen. The way Perlibus chose to handle it was to rip the system out, root and stem, and everyone over. That is on the developers and the developers alone. Okay? Tons of players worldwide would deal with harassment. The players that harassed them should have just been temporarily banned. Obviously. The Black Robe Man should never have been a part of the game. It just encourages people to harass individual players. Stupid. To try to blame Canon for all of your wrongdoings in open world PvP, you're looking at him as a scapegoat. Stop pointing the finger at anyone but Perlibus. You are not helping our cause as a PvP scene. Look, I'm a PvPer as much as you are.
The reason why people were not happy was cause their 2-year-old PS5 gameplay trailer looked and played better than their 1-year closed beta build. IGN gameplay was better too. They felt they were lied to and were being dishonest with the progress.
We'll talk about that in a second. But again, part of the reason that we as a community can't get feedback to the devs is because stupid people in the BDO community blame streamers, whether it's me or Canon or BroBear or whoever, for what Perlibus is doing. Guys, the only people that can make changes to the game are Perlibus. So if there's a problem, it's Perlibus' job to make sure that they handle it in a reasonable way that the community is happy with. If you point the finger at anyone but Perlibus, we're never going to get changes in the game. You have got to point the finger at the root of the issue. It's Perlibus. Stop pointing the finger at Canon. Stop hating Canon for something that is Perlibus' fault. Point the finger at Perlibus. Drive that point home with Perlibus. Like, you've got to drive it home. Because hating Canon is going to get us nowhere on the PvP scene. That's not going to help you. But hating Perlibus, that will get you somewhere. Anyway, to address the Chrono situation, flip back to the video here. Yeah, players did feel lied to because it looked...
If didn't make that video and threaten PA, do you think PA would have made that change to PA?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, they were making the change anyway. Again, I was a BDO partner. I was speaking to the CMs when this happened. I was flown to Perlibus. I spoke with them about it. The change was coming because of what had happened on the Korean server. We were getting it. It didn't matter. You could argue that Canon didn't help. That's a fair argument. But ultimately, we were getting it. We were... Anyway. Players felt disappointed based on the trailers that they had seen. Now, to be clear, though, I was not disappointed because it's a closed beta, guys. They felt that they were lied to. Well, here's the thing. The actual game release that we get for Chrono could be like the trailers. You gotta understand that was only one person playing in like on the beta. When I played on the beta, my frame rate was pretty good. I was the only one. I was like one of 30 people on the server. It was solid. It wasn't the best though. It was still pretty bad, right? But like it was okay. But the game needs a lot of polish. It's in beta. What are we talking about? You can complain all you want about, oh my God, it's that we feel like we were lied to. You weren't lied to. They told you this is a closed beta and that there's a lot of issues with the game and they're trying to sort them out before the game goes live. Assuming they fix all of the polish and shit for the game, look at the game as a whole. It's going to be good. First beta. Yeah.
And Doomers being accused of being a sellout and being paid. Before diving into the game,
I was not paid, to be clear. I just think the game is going to be awesome. I love the game. I think it's going to be sweet.
I want to address a few things here. First and foremost, I have not been paid a single dollar from Cacao or Chrono Studios. Any sponsor
I haven't either, actually.
or paid content
I was
must
like, wait, is that true? Yeah, I haven't been paid.
be disclosed according to the law. I have plenty of hashtag ads and hashtag sponsored things.
These people don't remember the New World test was just as bad. The AI was Papega. The combat was rough. At least Chrono's combat feels better and more weight. It's just scuffed right now. Exactly. It's a beta. Anybody that looked at it like it was going to be a polished game, those are the people that hate everything. Oh my God, that's Boba T. Those are my boys. Yo, that's one of the best NA West guilds for Throne of Liberty right there.
On my channel.
Yo, represent Boba T.
And they are all appropriately labeled. Also, the
like look at the horse running. It's
notion
kind
of me
scuffed,
being
right?
sold,
But it's a beta.
quote unquote, because I'm in the Cacao Partner Program is also just ridiculous, considering anyone that actually
The build we got for the plate was from last year. The main issue is just that it's a dumb rush CBT. I don't think it was a rush CBT at all. I think they knew exactly what they were looking for, and I think they understood. They were like, yeah, we just need to see what the feedback is before we do any more work on the game. I'm glad that they did it now, so that moving forward, they know, okay, we need to polish up our combat. We need to fix like inertia and all this before they try to polish systems that we don't like. Show us the system that's rough around the edges. And then if we don't like it, you could just cut it and start over again. I would rather them just give it to us now so that we can test it and then they can fix it. Again, assuming they fix this shit, this game's going to be awesome.
understands these programs knows there's only two reasons anyone would even want to join. Number one being you get a shiny little badge of honor that doesn't mean jack shit. And two, possible exclusive drops for partners on Twitch.
Woo! I mean, that will help. No question. That will help. I didn't even know we were getting that. We're getting exclusive drops? Yeah, baby, we get paid!
Shiny
Hell
badge.
yeah.
I don't give a shit about. No creator my size does. The only reason I signed up for it was to be included in drop campaigns on
yeah, they also gave giveaway codes
Twitch
to,
in case they have any. There is literally no real benefit for a streamer outside of this.
Oh no, Chrono glazing? We're being honest about Chrono. Okay? We're being honest.
Most content creator programs, at least for MMORPGs, including this one. If you don't believe me, go ahead and contact whoever is in charge of the creator program for Cacao and ask them what are the benefits of joining. Here.
Man, bro, Cannon is really concerned about people saying that he had like a paid take on Chrono Odyssey. Guys, I am not paid. I think the game's going to be good. It needs a tremendous amount of polish. But I think the core of the game is really good.
I disagree. Companies know first impressions go a very long way for pre-order sales, etc. They released this build with that in mind, which in turn proves the real game isn't far off the beta build.
I don't think so. Again, we're at least 5 months from a Chrono Odyssey release. At least 5 months. While it's true that first impressions are important, I think that they got reasonable first impressions. It's a closed beta. I still think the game is going to be massive when it releases. A lot of people are going to play it. It's not even a question. If it's the same version of the game that we get in the beta, the game's going to tank. For sure. If it's the same version we get in the beta, the game is not going to do super well. But it will still have its dedicated player base. Assuming they polish up, though, what they had that was already good in the beta, the game is going to be great.
Take a look for yourself. Do you really think I really benefit from any of that? Promotion via their Discord? Nothing burger. Giveaway codes? I get them anyway. This isn't a bash on their
I get them
creator
anyway.
program, by the way. Every creator program is pretty much like this.
True. Pearl Abyss's creator program is even worse than that.
Maybe you're thinking, well, then beta test access for the partners. I'm not by any means a huge...
They didn't give us beta test access because we were Chrono partners. They gave us beta test access because we were already big MMO streamers and they wanted to
Validating
know.
concept and mechanics, that's what beta are for.
Correct. That is 100% correct. They're validating concepts, mechanics, fixing bugs, optimizing, changing systems that they need to, etc. 100% spot on. Yeah, guys, I was not a Chrono partner when they selected me for my closed beta access, like the previous one, like the embargo one. That was something that I had to get because I was the biggest streamer in the BDO space. Choice got beta access too. He just only played it to level 2 because he didn't give a
creator, but
let's be honest, Choice is never going to play anything other than BDO.
Platform is large enough to be offered access to beta tests without being in creator programs. In fact, the partner program didn't even exist for both the beta tests I was invited to for Chrono. I've tested a lot of games, more that's under NDA that I can't talk about. Games that are on your radar for the future right now across different companies. I've already played some of them and it had nothing to do with being in an exclusive program. Me being able to test
Canon, who cares?
Games ahead of time is not in any way related to being in a
Canon,
view on Terrace Land and still make my review and I'll be done with it. Now, in case you're wondering because you haven't been following, which is probably none of you, Chrono Odyssey was playable for the first time ever and a ton of people have been calling it garbage, mainly due to the lack of polish and poor optimization.
I want to point out, Asmongold played this game and without seeing any reviews or anything, he said he thought the game was going to be good. Just to be clear. Then he looked at some of the reviews for the game and reacted to some of the reviews for the game and he was like less sure then. He was like, okay. Right? But like, again, most people that approach it, you say, well, Asmongold is good. Look, you might not like Asmon, but when it comes to like gameplay and video games, okay, because I'm not going to talk about any of the rest of his content, but when it comes to like gameplay and video games, Asmongold is a very good representation of what the consumer wants for an MMO, especially a PvE MMO, which is what Chrono is supposed to end up being, right? And if he thought it could be good, that's my take on it. That's Canon's take. I think that we all think that it can be very good. He gives fair takes. Exactly. Like, again, it can be good. It's a closed beta. The people that are saying that it's shit or it's a nothing burger, it's a polished turd, whatever, those are people that don't understand it's a closed beta. They think that this is the polished game that you're getting. That's just not the case.
Of course, there are a lot of people still defending the game as well. So we have this...
I'll defend the game.
Big...
And again, I'm not paid to defend the game.
Back and forth thing going on right now.
Just like I would defend BDO, and I would defend Throne on Liberty too.
Everyone has different levels of criticism, pointing to a variety of things, but the two overwhelming negatives surrounding the game that virtually everyone has been saying are these two things: the polish and optimization.
Both of those things are closed beta things that you deal with.
Here's what I tweeted on X this past weekend, and is my official stance on what's happening.
I'm not reading all that.
I see some people upset about...
I'll skim it and then give you the TLDR. No, okay. This is Canon's damage control video. I want to be clear. I stand by every single word of what I said about Chrono Odyssey in every one of my videos. I am excited for the game. I think the game has a lot of potential. I think it can be very, very good, assuming they polish everything. About
creators lying to them about Chrono Odyssey. From the beginning, I've said this. I love the canvas, think it has potential, but it lacks polish and has way too many bugs.
No, I mean, like, I didn't even... Honestly, for a beta, I thought it didn't have that many bugs. For a beta, I feel like there's less bugs in Chrono Odyssey than there is in the live version of the game for Throne and Liberty. I'm just being honest. I experienced less bugs in the beta for Chrono than I do regularly in Throne and Liberty. I'm just being honest. But optimization and polish, sure.
My words verbatim in my review on YouTube, that it feels like a wannabe AAA game developed by an indie studio that does actually have the chance to be a AAA game.
This is going to be the next big MMO. It is. This is the next, like, this isn't a mobile game. This isn't some shit, like, this is the next MMO that people will play. Will they continue playing it long term? Well, that will depend on the end game. We don't know what the end game is going to be like. If the end game's shit, well, then people will play it for 100 hours and then quit, like they did for New World, right? But like, it definitely when it comes out, it will be a huge release for an MMO, a lot like Throne was. Throne, I guys remember when Throne released, it had hundreds of thousands of players on Steam. I think this is going to be the same thing. Will players stick with it? That will depend entirely on the end game.
But currently lacks the polish
until the other
of
big
being
title comes out. Exactly.
one. If this was an alpha or
Again, I'm not saying people are going to necessarily stick with it long term, but I do think that a lot of people are going to try this.
early beta, I'd say it's looking pretty good.
And
if
like it.
this is what we're going into launch with, then honestly, we're in some serious trouble.
Chrono Odyssey
I stand by
Eternum.
this. The
Shut
version
your
you're
mouth.
playing is what we saw in February, being confirmed
Dude, this entire video is literally damage control for Chrono Odyssey.
to be their finished end year 2024 build. A lot of us were excited about the potential of the game because in our minds, this
Does
game
he
had
talk about? Hold on. Does he talk about the New World like breaking the game like leak? Because that shit was crazy. That shit was insane. Let's get past this.
build was indeed their end of year 2024 build.
Yeah, so this is an old build.
The
yeah.
reason for this is because I played this same build in February. The changes are very minor. For example, a quest is available later than sooner. The build version is very clearly the same. I want you to think of all the issues this game has, then ask yourself if you think most of it can be fixed within a year. If
Yep, it can be.
your answer is
100%.
yes, then as long as you like the canvas of the game and the core game design, then it's reasonable to be excited about this game.
Precisely. Very well said. Very, very well said. I do think that all of the problems were fixable within a year. It's not even a question.
Because the game has been cooking.
And to be clear, if they're not fixable within a year, I hope that they delay the game until 2026. I'm just going to say it. If they can't fix the problems with the game, I think you delay the game until it's fixed. It's literally just that simple. Just say, hey, we need more time to fix what you guys told us. Done. Not a problem. We get it. No big deal. It'll be fine. The double jump on Chrono was great. Well, the double jump on Chrono was pretty good, yeah. I don't think there was a jump attack, though.
Those improvements for this build since the beginning of the year. Well, at least supposedly. This was the mentality for a lot of people in the first beta test. We became even more hopeful when the Korean devs sought us directly via Discord call, saying they would be heavily taking our feedback for improvements while acknowledging a lot of the things we mentioned would be or already were being worked on.
They did do that. They did specifically ask us as creators, and they said they're looking at feedback directly from the community, your YouTube comments, your like forum posts, feedback on Twitter. They're looking at all of that stuff. At least that's what they said, you know.
If you agree with the notion that the game does have potential, then it just comes down to a matter of whether or not they are lying about the new build existing.
What's the monetization strategy in Chrono again? No pay to win at all. Zero. All cosmetics.
And how much
Kind of like Guild Wars 2.
improvement they have actually made to that build if it does exist. If you think the game at a core is garbage and has no potential, then we just disagree. And
Yeah, there are going to be some people that don't like the core of the game. They don't like how hard the main story is. They don't like how the world exploration. They don't like the theme of the game. Maybe they don't like the color style, or they don't like the Alien franchise, like Prometheus and stuff. They don't like the styling. That's fine. But I think a lot of people do like it.
shouldn't piss you off that someone has a
A
different
no pay to win Cacao game. This is another thing that people don't understand, guys. Cacao does not make this game. Chrono Studio makes the game. Cacao is publishing the game. There's a huge difference between a publisher and a developer. You have, like, for example, Throne of Liberty. NCSoft makes Throne of Liberty. So it's NCSoft's job to fix bugs with the game, to optimize the game, and stuff, right? It's AGS, Amazon Game Studios' job to catch cheaters, to publish the game, to manage the community. Okay? Very different. Just like this, it's Cacao's job to manage the community and give feedback to the developers so the devs can make changes to the game.
opinion to yours. Now, I don't think they're
I
lying.
think the end game will struggle based on the gear system. The end game could struggle. If the end game of Chrono is bad, we're all going to play it for 100 to 200 hours, and then we're all going to be done with it. You know it, I know it, we all know it. But if the end game is good, you play the shit out of it.
About having a build, because that means they've
That's every MMO is like that.
literally just played with their assholes for the past 4 to 6 months, considering the game is literally the same. And I've seen it in February when it comes to whether or not they are competent enough to make significant improvements to the polish and optimization. I have no idea. I was hoping to see that this past month.
You said it's pay to win. You can buy gold with gems. It is not pay to win. It is not. They've said like 80 times it's not pay to win. If the game comes out and it ends up being pay to win, I am going to get a tremendous amount of money off of that. I will be honest with you. The amount that will get memed on, it will be legendary. It's going to be insane. It's going to be crazy. But they've said multiple times, repeatedly, it's not going to be pay to win. If it ends up being pay to win, believe me, I will be on that shit.
But I was very disappointed when I
Guild Wars Blue, not Chrono Odyssey. Guild Wars 2 is not pay to win, to my knowledge.
discovered that it was the same build. As I mentioned in the X post, I am not a big fan of them showing this build, especially after dropping that trailer. I would have much rather them delayed the beta until this newer build was stable. If I'm going to air out more reservations I have about this whole debacle, I'm also really not a big fan of the copied New World assets.
I didn't like that at all. When I heard that they copied, like, look, it's one thing to copy New World's crafting system and maybe what they're gathering and stuff looks like, because I think New World did that very well. I think that New World's like life skilling and crafting system was a really big part of what people liked so much about New World. But once we saw, you can see like they got caught copying assets directly from New World. That's not good. That is not good. That does worry me. That is scary.
Personally don't care about the assets that were copied. In fact,
now that being said, if assuming they change all of it and that it's like, maybe they're just, again, they're a new developer. Maybe they just took what New World had and they pasted it in to see if it would work with because clearly they have a lot of the New World systems, right? Maybe they pasted it in to see how it would fit in their game, and their plan is to change all of it. That is fine. But if they were planning to just drop it in and just send it like it was, what was that MMO that was just copy pasted Unreal 5 assets? What was that game called? I forget the name of that goddamn game. Quinfall. Yeah, if we're Quinfalling this shit, yeah, that's a problem. If we're Quinfalling this shit, no, Boopy, not Bliss.
I would have personally preferred those systems to be
Hoshino, thanks, buddy.
in the game myself. It's more that I had a face-to-face conversation with them, and I was told to my face that the inspiration behind Chrono came mainly from Chrono Trigger and Elden Ring. No mention of New World.
Clearly, they took some shit from New World. Like let's just be. I don't give a fuck what they told you. Obviously, it was, bro. When I did the crafting, I was like, damn, this kind of looks like New World. Like, obviously, like, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, and I thought that was fine. Again, that was a good part of New World.
The New World camp that you're seeing on screen here now, this is just 100% copied, guys. You can't dispute it.
This is 100% copied.
I may be an optimistic person that gives the benefit of the doubt, but I also call it how I see it. Not mentioning there was inspiration from New World when being asked what games inspired Chrono may not have been a direct lie, but
and here's the deal with this, and I think this is what worries players, including me, because I'm giving an honest take. The fact that the way he portrayed that to canon, to his face, was to say that Chrono Trigger was the inspiration for the game. Clearly, it was New World, and they didn't want to say that. Now you look over at the pay-to-win answer, too, and you start thinking, well, what the fuck are they being dishonest about with pay-to-win? Because if it comes out and it ends up being pay-to-win, they will get blasted. Like, absolutely blasted. And I said before, when I was on my review of Chrono, I said Koreans have a different definition of pay to win than the West does. They said that they understand what we think pay to win is, and they said there's not going to be any pay to win. So I'm hoping that there's not. The fact that they lied about this does not bode well for the pay to win stuff. That's scary. It's also scary that they pasted assets in too. That's also scary. I would prefer that they just delay the game and fix everything.
but it's for sure deceptive.
Of course, it's inspired by more than one game. It's got aspects of New World, but I think that if you look at it like Bless Unleashed, there's a lot of similarities to Bless Unleashed as well. Not normal Bless Unleashed, the second one.
Now, where do I stand? I stand exactly
And it's got dynamic events in it too.
where I stood
Guild
before.
Wars?
None of this noise really matters at the end of the day. Who gives a shit? None of this changes my view on the game, which is still this. I find the game very fun. I think it still has a ton of potential. I love the canvas. I like the progression design. I like the combat.
Yep.
But it lacks some serious polish and optimization, and I'm hoping they can fix it because I believe it's a doable timeline considering this build was done at the beginning of the year. Fortunately for all of us, now that we do have a baseline build and confirmed time period as to when it was done, we can now compare it to the new build whenever we get it to gauge for ourselves just how good this game really will be for launch.
I'll be honest. I think they should just delay the game. I think they should just say, if they can't fix all of these problems, like the New World copy paste assets, if they can't figure out the combat, polish the game, remove the bugs, and all of that stuff, just delay it until 2026. And if you can finish all that stuff, again, I think the game's gonna bang. The canvas for the game is really, really good. It's taking aspects of games that are really, really good to this point anyway. Agree. If we give it a year or two, I'm tired of garbage releases. Yeah, I agree too. That's the video there if you guys want to take a look at it. There you go. My take on it is I stand by everything I said. He was trying to do damage control there, but I wasn't all that concerned about it. I was like, I think the game's going to be awesome. I think assuming they polish all this shit up, fix all this shit, I think it's going to be great. I think that the betas for previous MMOs like Throne of Liberty, Black Desert, and basically every MMO we've seen were also like, people would say, oh, this is shit. It's a nothing burger. It's going to be a garbage game. You look how much players or how much they're able to change from beta to live version of the game. I think it's definitely got the meat on it. I think it's going to be sick.